Well, here we are again. Back from yet another on again, off again, on again, off again. Well, I mean, it's oddly enough, of course, or maybe it's not so odd given my tendencies, I guess, if you want to call it. It's been a while since I've actually done one of these, and it's funny because number one, it's actually a little more than a week overdue. It's something that really, in all honesty, I wanted to do number two on Sunday for a variety of reasons. Of course, this is the 1 year anniversary video from when I did my first upload. And actually, it was the first two uploads, but that's really neither here nor there. It was just funny because the first video that I actually recorded, um, the circumstances surrounding that came along very, very unexpectedly. And for those of you who don't remember or may actually be seeing my content for the first time, the very first video that I recorded was in reaction to the news that Kobe Bryant had passed away in a tragic helicopter crash. And of course, we would ultimately find out that his daughter Gianna, along with seven others, were on board the helicopter with them, unfortunately. And it just, looking back on it, sucks. But even grasping everything for what it was just it was pretty tough. It was really, really difficult. And what made it so was just simply put, and I'm pretty sure those that have seen the video, I at the time I was on my way to my then storage unit. I was actually moving from one storage unit to another. And I was literally a couple of blocks away when the news actually broke. And it was just so wild how hard it hit me at the time because, it just, even now, it still doesn't make sense, but it really didn't at the time. And for me, I I don't know. It again. It's been a little over a year now, and I'm still looking back on it. And it's like, damn, like that really happened. Amongst other things that I'm about to get into here in a moment. But I I was planning on it being different, and it really changed the trajectory, if I could say that three times fast, of my day that day because again I was trying to get things going and I didn't get nearly as much done that day, but fortunately I was able to get it all worked out regardless. It just had to be over the course of a couple of days, but it is what it is. I'm not really going to dwell on that so much. I mean, it's happened, it's over with, and you know we're all moving forward. But it was really interesting because I remember last week, which it was, I believe, Tuesday. I'm actually gonna take a look at this here, just so that I know that I'm correct here. Just pull up the calendar here, and of course, as always, this is going to be unedited. I do want to go into detail about that as well, but before I do, I'm gonna go ahead, just come on. There we go. All right. Yeah. So it was Tuesday the 26th. It was January 26th, 2020, and it was 26th last Tuesday. Um, and of course, for everybody that's gotten to know me throughout all of this, I watch a lot of ESPN. I'm really big into sports, and of course, they did a Remembering Kobe Bryant Day, and rightfully so. Um, Sadly enough, upon that 1 year anniversary, a member of the NBA community, a gentleman by the name of Sekou Smith, passed away due to COVID complications. And it just is so wild that that would happen exactly a year after that tragic accident back on January 26th of 2020. And, you know, it's just the way life comes at you with these things. It's really, really wild. And of course, there are other parts of that that I want to go into about that. But for me personally, it just really, really sucked because when I got the news and everything, at the time I got to my storage unit, but it was closed because the the attendant of the property was actually out at lunch, so I had to wait for that person to get back from lunch. So I was sitting in the parking lot, and that's where I wound up recording that video. And along the way, I checked Facebook, I checked Twitter, just to see all the reactions. And I've been on record many times saying I consider myself to be at least something of a spiritual person. And you know, it was just a thing. You see, I'm very, I guess the way I want to put it is that I'm I don't want to say that I'm necessarily sensitive or anything like that, but it's like there's a thing with me when it comes to energy, you know, and for as long as I can remember, I've been able to feel that in a lot of different ways, and especially from other people, and they don't even have to be right next to me or in my actual physical presence. Like if you were right here in front of me right now, you could just be clear across the other side of the earth, you know, and depending on the gravity of the situation, I'm probably gonna find myself sympathizing or just understanding, at least to some degree, at least some aspect of what may or may not be going on. And that's just how wild it was. That's really the only way I know how to explain it. I'm not sure if it makes sense. If not, like I said, it's really, really difficult to explain, but if it does, then hopefully you get what I mean. But it was just crazy because all the reactions, there was just a lot of sad energy that I felt. And for me, you know, the only other time I remember it being felt on such a scale, it was actually 9/11, the actual occurrence of September 11th back in 2001, you know, and it was so crazy the way that it felt that day, and how crazy it felt a little over a year ago. And it was just understandable. I believe they had trying to think, I forget which one is the award show. There are a lot of things that I don't keep up very well with. I'm gonna say it was the, I think Oscars is for acting and Emmys are for music. I don't know, but it was the big yearly awards show, and yeah, feel free to give me crap about that in the comments section. I don't know. There's just a lot of things where I'm a little bit weird with when it comes to how I keep up with it. But I remember Alicia Keys was the host, and I don't know if it was the start of the show because I didn't really watch it. It was also the same day as the 2020 Royal Rumble, which there are a lot of things about that, and that's also why I wanted to do it on Sunday because, you know, this past Sunday they had the 2021 WWE Royal Rumble, and also coincidentally enough, when that happened, that was also the day of the Pro Bowl, the NFL Pro Bowl. And it was the same thing again this year. Both the Royal Rumble and at least the Pro Bowl was scheduled to be this past Sunday, you know, and I don't remember any point where that's happened like that on consecutive years, which was really interesting to me, and I guess that was part of the reason I wanted to do that on Sunday. But all of that being said, of course, it was just wild thinking back on all of that, just how I felt. And what it was like when I got to talking to everybody that I talked to, which that day, and this is what I mean by, it changed the trajectory of my day on that particular day because I wound up calling and talking to a lot of people, including family, mind you, that I hadn't talked to in a considerable amount of time. Some were months, others were even years, And again, a majority of these people are family or people I consider to be family. And it was just so wild because there were a lot of things that I had gone through up until that point. And one other detail I should point out, and I've said this in previous videos as well, was I actually started doing this under the advisement of the therapist that I was seeing at the time. And what was really interesting about that is that this was something I wanted to do years ago. I just, for whatever reason, never got around to it until literally a year ago. And this is where it's really significant for me because, it's like all the things that have happened. And I mentioned COVID before. We've had COVID to deal with. And I let that be an excuse as to why I didn't stay consistent with what I was doing regarding all of this because, I just, as if everything that happened with Kobe and his daughter as well as the other 7 people, as if that wasn't crazy enough, this comes along and now we're at a point to where last time I checked we were approaching 500,000 people having died from COVID, and it's like, damn, I mean, I'm not one, I've said before on multiple occasions, I don't care for politics. I don't care about talking about politics. I have family that is very much inclined. They watch the news constantly. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm not as, I guess, engaged into it as they are. I mean, I keep myself as aware as possible. I'll pay attention to when certain things are happening, such as the craziness that took place back on January 6th. Again, I'm not going to go into that because those are ugly details that I just don't care to discuss. But, it's just pretty crazy that, life has been turned so wildly upside down this last year or so, and all because of this virus. And hopefully we're turning the corner on that. Again, I don't want to get too much into politics, but this new administration is seemingly putting their best foot forward in terms of turning all that around. I mean, regardless of who or what you support, that's entirely up to you. Keep in mind, though, that will not be something I will be discussing here or on any other such platform. In other words, whenever I start doing Twitch, I will, of course, be doing live stream, which I do want to point out. I am going to be live reacting to the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. And there are other aspects of that I'm going to get into here shortly, but you know, regardless of all of that, it's just so crazy that things got to where they are now, where we're at right now, and it's just crazy because it's as cliche as it may be, a lot of things can seriously happen within a year's time. I mean, it's just amazing how 1 minute you're used to things being a certain way, and then the next thing you know, shit just changes on you just like that. I mean, but that's life for you. That's how it's always been, and that's something that I'm certainly no stranger to myself. I've wound up learning a lot more about that than what I was actually counting on. It's actually pretty crazy, because I think back to all the things that I've been through, not just in the last few years or so, but it's pretty much something that I've dealt with for, I guess we could say, the larger part of my adult life. I mean, truth be told, my life as a whole just hasn't been easy, but at the same time, I've had to realize and perhaps even remind myself, I don't think that there's anybody out there that's really lived what could be considered an easy life at all. I mean, not even close. And it's just so crazy because to think about that and come to an understanding where, I guess the best way I can put it is just you find yourself being awoken to certain things, if that makes sense. I mean, I won't dwell too much on that either, but it's just really wild how things can work out, and it's just all about how you're willing to deal with them. And I am going to be the first one to admit I, by and large, have not dealt with a lot of things correctly at all, and I'm having to admit right now that I have learned so many valuable lessons about what all of that means. And I suppose that a motivating factor in all of that comes from a Korean show that I've been watching recently. I actually just finished it. It's on Netflix. It's called Itaewon Class, or Taiwan. That's really pathetic. I'm half Korean and I still need to learn the language. I can't even pronounce things worth shit. And I am really disappointed in myself about that. And again, that's something that roast me in the comments for that one too. But that's another goal. I probably may have brought that up before, but that's another goal of mine, is I want to start learning Korean along with at least a couple of other different languages, so that it's just really more of a self-improvement type of thing, and you just can't go wrong with improving yourself. And I wish I'd have strived more for that in at an earlier point in my life, but you know, it's never too late. That's certainly something I've heard a lot of over the years, and it's about time I really start applying that, and that's purpose of this video. I just wanted to really get the ball rolling on this. Of course, I've rambled, but it's better than the variation I did of this earlier. It was something that I did. It's now wow, it's actually 12:36 a.m. as on Thursday, February 4th. And originally I was going to upload a video I did yesterday, technically, at I believe it was around 5:25 p.m., 5:30. I'm not real sure, but it was just something where I just rambled. I might have actually been a little incoherent because I don't sleep very well. I haven't slept very well in quite some time, and it's been really bad recently. You know, past couple of days, I may have gotten, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 hours of sleep, and that's not good. And I've got to definitely fix that. Maybe it's noticeable in my face to some degree. I feel a little better than I did when I was doing that now, so that's why I wanted to record this. I wanted to put up at least something of a better version of that, and maybe it comes out a lot better than what it would have. And what's funny is that this is actually going to be uploaded in the morning, probably around and I say it's, well, now 12:38, and that's Mountain / Arizona time, because here in Arizona we don't do daylight savings or whatever. It's just we go from Pacific to Mountain time, and we're currently on Mountain time right now. And when it changes back over, we'll be back on Pacific. But that's really neither here nor there. But yeah, I just wanted to get this out there just to get the ball rolling again. I'm not going to talk about how I'm going to work to be more consistent. It's just, you know, I am tired of saying it. I just really need to get to a point of doing it. And that's where I bring up the show that I was talking about, Itaewon Class. And I bring it up because it's actually, I guess, thinking about it, and for the past, just to be clear, for the past, I want to say maybe 3, 4, 5 years or so, I've actually lost track of this. I've actually been watching more Korean shows, which is why it's real pathetic that my pronunciations are so tragically bad. But that aside, I have been watching a lot of them, and my favorite ones, I've got 2 of them, well, now 3 if you include that one. The first one was a series entitled Secret Garden. I definitely recommend all of these that I'm bringing up in this video. It's something to where, you know, if you've been into any sort of international programming whatsoever, regardless of what country it is, whether it be Korea, Japan, you know, Mexico, Spain, anything from Europe or wherever it is in the world, you know. If you're into that, definitely check out these ones that I'm mentioning, because they're very enjoyable series, and they've I gotta say, it's made it to the point to where I don't see a lot of stuff that we have out here in America anywhere near the same anymore. It's just like, I don't know if I call it life changing, but maybe it is. I don't know. It's kind of tough to call out one. That's something that'll have to be up for another discussion at another time. But you know, and of course, being the anime fan that I am, there's aspects of that I guess I find to be hand in hand, one way or the other. But I wound up having that one be a favorite of mine for a variety of reasons. Check it out. You may catch on to what that may be, at least for your own reasons, perhaps, or hopefully you wind up liking it just because it was able to do for you what it did for me, or maybe it was something that you enjoyed regardless. But yeah, it was Secret Garden, and of course the one I mentioned before, Etowan Class. The third one is actually tricky to me because I've seen two variations, I guess, of the English translation of the title. One variation is My Love from the Stars. Another is You from the Stars, or something to that effect. I'm not real sure. But it's really, really good. I enjoyed both of those. I bring those three up because those are the only ones that actually had me emotionally moved. For reasons. We'll just put it that way. But definitely some of my favorites. I can't think of much anything else I've enjoyed more. But and if you're interested, let me know in the comments section. Again, I'm going to get better on the pronunciations of all of these things, and I'm going to work like mad trying to get better at that as much as I can. And also still do a lot of the content that I was doing before. I'll still be talking a lot about sports, largely basketball and football. And I want to get back into doing more baseball. It's just I really have to push myself to doing baseball because man, those seasons are something else. Like it is what it is. It's considered the American pastime, so I can't knock it. It was actually the first sport that I really got into, and then ultimately I just wound up being even more into basketball and football, which was largely a family thing, actually. So that's where a lot of that comes from. But we'll definitely be talking a lot about that. We'll discuss wrestling. Probably get more into talking about video games if, again, there are those of you that are interested in the Korean dramas, Korean shows, however you want to refer to them. Let me know. I'll probably fit that in there too. And that was another thing I wanted to bring up. I know that a lot of content creators, they wind up having a lot of different channels for different subject matter or whatever it is, and I don't care for that idea. I guess you can say that a goal of mine is to break the mold because it wasn't always like that at one point, but of course, given how late in the game I've gotten into this, I'm having to work through that. So, if nothing else, I want to break the mold on that and get to where, it shouldn't matter what type of content you're putting up. You shouldn't need to have 2, 3, or however many channels just to do one brand of content and then you have another brand or whatever on another. I hate that idea like so much, and I'm gonna fight like mad to work against that as much as possible. But anyway, that's pretty much where I'm gonna leave it. Again, look out for live stream Sunday. I'm not gonna act like I expect a really big turnout or anything like that. It's just, I'm really getting started on that. And another thing about that too is that I've actually been acquiring little by little equipment because this is being recorded on my phone right now. I was doing this also on another phone that I was using, which right now is no longer in service. I still have that device, but I'm using this one right now. I'm actually testing it out because on top of it being a newer device, it's also supposed to have a better camera. I don't know if that makes any difference. Check out my previous videos. Let me know if that's the case or not. I'm not going to be looking into that because I'm not going to go back and watch any of my old stuff right now. At some point I will. I want to get to a point where year, 2 years down the line or whatever it is, I want to look back on all of this and be like, wow, I came a long way from that. And that's what I'm going to be working for moving forward. So that said, I just want to take a moment and say thank you for just even giving me the time of day to hear what I'm saying. I know this has gotten lengthy. We're over 30 minutes now, but I kind of intended it that way because there was a lot I wanted to get off of my chest. And again, this was something that was recommended to me by the therapist I was seeing a year ago. And more than that, I also, just wanted to do it. It's kind of funny because I look at this as a glorified journal of sorts. And that's a funny thing when it comes to journals. I never was really all that great with staying consistent on that. I mean, I did at one point, but I had breaks in between it, and the journal that I actually kept on my computer, it wound up being messed up for, well, I won't go into that. I just don't have that the same anymore. Hopefully I'll be able to recover that and get that going again, but neither here nor there. I just hope that this wasn't too much for you. Again, this was unedited. I don't do any editing. That was the reason I brought up acquiring equipment, because I want to start doing more of this through a computer, because I could do this, I could edit this through a phone, but that for me just is a bit of an inconvenience for a couple of reasons. One, it wouldn't be good on my neck or anything like that because I have spinal issues as it is, mild scoliosis specifically, and hopefully I'm able to find a way to get that squared away, even though with being 41, going to be 42 in June, I don't know how likely it is that could be the case. But then again, I had a conversation with my uncle not too long ago where we were talking about that, because he had a procedure done involving something similar, and as far as I can tell, it's worked out well for him. So maybe there's hope yet. But enough of all the babbling. I'm just going to go ahead and get this ready. I'll have it uploaded in the morning. Try to get this out to you. I'm going to tag a lot of people, especially people that I've been communicating with, whether it's been on Facebook or Twitter. So if you're getting tagged on this, I hope you check this out, and I hope it's decently worth your while. And, well, at least now you can put a name with, or a face with the name or whatever, the handle, however you want to refer to that. But at least you know who you're dealing with a little bit more now. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and move along. I appreciate the time. I hope all is well with all of you, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. More coming.